If your RC bench doesn't look like this, what are you even doing? Let's get this cleaned up first. All right, guys, we're back. Texas Toast RC coming back at you with another video. Got the desk all cleaned up, ready to go for the next project. I didn't record my last project that I had. It was actually a commission project I had for a friend of mine. He bought a K10 Scottsdale body, wanted me to paint and weather. Of course, myself, I should have recorded, but I didn't. So we're gonna put some pictures up here. You can see the project here somewhere. I don't know. So we'll get some pictures up there. You can check it out. Great project. I love the way it turned out. Wish it was mine. Wish I could have kept it just like we sometimes do. So, but it's going to a good home. So what do we got today? We are going to bring out an oldie, the Texas rig. We're gonna be working on this one today. Since you guys last saw it, updates that we did to it as of right now, switch out the portal axles. We're now running the Vanquish F10T straight axles. Love the portal axles. They just, you know, the additional height on it, it was cool for what it was. It was different. I liked it, but we went ahead and went with the straight axles, which, you know, changed the performance of the rig. Definitely stays more planted. Trying to get this one to replace Old Red. You guys see my other video on Old Red? She was a great truck. I love that truck. I regret every day getting rid of it, but we're gonna go ahead and get some work done on this. So let's go ahead and move this on to the side. What we got? Hear all that metal. Got some A&M Garage goodies. These are actually safe for something else. What are we doing today to the Texas rig? We got the A&M Garage sliders. What are we putting these bad boys on? Great metal sliders, loved them. And then right now I'm running the Bauhaus skid. This brings it up, I like it. It's nice, but we're gonna do the A&M Garage transfer case flip and the flat mounted skid. There we go. We're gonna do the flat skid on it. Had it on my Old Red, loved it. We're gonna throw it on this too with your transfer case flip. Not gonna run the overdrive. I know we can change the gearing in the transfer case and get that overdrive. For me, this is like a trail rock crawler, not just a rock crawler, competition crawler. So the overdrive was just way too much for me. So let's go ahead and get started on that. All right, so let's go ahead and start first by taking the body off. For those of you that are new coming into RC four-wheel drive, hard bodies, whatnot, one of the best mods you could do to it to make it easier to get this body off, grub screws. Just got some grub screws here. The body's pinching on it, it'll hold it together. Just a quick pull. Body pops right off, see? Some of y'all have seen my interior. This is just Velcroed on. Gets that floor nice and low. Now, some concerns of mine. I am running a micro servo winch, so I don't know if with the transfer flip, if we're gonna have to change that up or not. We'll see what happens when we get into it. First off, let's go ahead and take off these old sliders. All right, so looks like we are going to have to take off this top plate because I know with the transfer flip, we have to go in here and drill out another hole. I believe the hole has to get drilled out right there. So let's go ahead and take that off. Looks like I'm gonna have to unplug some of my wiring. Great. You know, you spend so much time wiring things up, hoping that you never have to take it apart. We're gonna take this apart. So let's go ahead and get that done. Note to self, we're gonna use this, charge it. It's already dying on me. Let me put this on the charger for a little while and we'll come right back. All right. I know I'm not the only one. You know when you're trying to look for that specific tool, you're looking all over the place, can't find it. You know, like the dreaded 10 mil socket. For those of you that work on cars or anything that require a 10 mil, can never find it. Looking for my Lexan scissors, couldn't find them, looking all over the place. Right there. Stupid. Just gonna use these to cut off some of these zip ties. They were literally right there. Ridiculous. All right, so to take this plate off, I got, great. Again, this goes back to having everything set up a certain way. I can't get that out without taking this off. I can't take this off without actually taking the servo off. All right, it is what it is. Let's go. We're just gonna have to bite the bullet, guys. All right. Try to see if there was a way that I can get around having to take the whole thing off, but I guess not. Next time, you guys, when y'all are building your rigs, set stuff up in a way that'll be easier for you down the road to come off. I know sometimes whenever we put these things together, we just think, oh yeah, it's good, it's good, it's good. But you see that next mod that you just have to have. And everything you've done has to come undone to do that one mod. Great. Got it out. All right, guys. So when it comes to our plate here, transfer case flip, when you set it up, you got one matching hole here. I don't know if you can see that. So we got one matching hole here. This will line up with this section where the battery strap's supposed to go, which I don't use. Then you have another hole here. This hole is perfectly aligned with the hole that corresponds to your chassis. So what I do is just go ahead and put a screw and a nut, hold that down tight so it doesn't move, get a drill bit, drill that sucker out. That'll get you your hole you need to mount this to the chassis. Let's go ahead and do that. All right, guys, so we're ready to drill. Just make sure you're lined up as straight as possible, so that way we're not having to wallow out that hole more than we have to. So I'm using a 5/32 drill bit. Normally I'll put this on the vise, but we'll just go ahead and do it here. All right, hope you guys could see it. Got your hole right there. Perfect. Let's clean some of this off. All right, guys. So now that we got the hole drilled out, we can go ahead and take this off. Still waiting for my driver to charge, so we're just going to do this the old school way. Okay, so once we get this off, bring the chassis back on. Go. Stay. All right, let's bring the chassis back. Let's see, you know what, before we do that, let's actually go ahead and take off my current transfer case, mount the current skid. This is gonna be a lot more daunting than I thought it was going to. I forgot all I had to do when I did this on my first rig, which is actually a good thing because I got a couple of stripped out screws that definitely need to be replaced. All right, let's go ahead and get the transfer case off. Gotta love this. Said no one ever. I tell you, I love wrenching on these things, but man, when you come into stuff like this, it's like, Jesus Christ, you pretty much gotta disassemble the whole rig to do these modifications that we love to do. Such a pain. It's a love-hate relationship with these things, right? Okay, carefully flip this back over. Kind of bring this up out of the way. Actually, that's right, I'm gonna have to disassemble the, whatever the hell that's called. I don't remember. All right, so let's go ahead and get this one off. All right, guys, so just a couple of things I'm just trying to take in consideration here is I do have the flip mount, a low skid, but also I have these sliders. So I just want to make sure that when I'm putting this on, the holes that I'm going to be utilizing, which they're both threaded holes, so that's good. But also my body post placement, which the body posts were on this mount here, so we're good there. But then also to my servo winch, since that was drilled into this with the screw and a nut on the bottom. So since it doesn't look like anything's gonna interfere with what I have to do right now, I'm gonna go ahead and hold off on doing these. That'll be good, don't have to worry about that. So let's go ahead and get the plate, our plate mounted back up here. Pretty much have had to cut every zip tie I have on here. And I am a stickler for wiring and wire management. So I'm gonna have to do this all over again. All right, guys, so setting that back in place so y'all can take a look at it. The hole that we drilled, I don't know if you guys can see it. The hole that we had to drill here, that covers that hole right there. I don't know if you guys can see it, but anyways, there's a hole on the chassis right below that hole that we had to drill. So that's gonna be our other location for our mount. So let's go ahead and get the plate secured. Hopefully I don't have to take anything back out once we do so. Let's go ahead and get that secured. I know I should be Loctiting this stuff, but I honestly never do. I don't. Actually, that one can't go in yet because that's the mount. It's going to be for our flip transfer case flip, so that will have to stay off. These will go on. Gonna wait to put the servo winch and all that stuff back on because I just want to make sure everything else is gonna go before I secure that, because that is a whole other task itself. So all right, so we got these three going, so we're good to go there. All right, okay, so checking this out, we got, move that out of the way. So A&M, what they include are these spacers. You have this spacer here, which will go to this location here, and then you have a little O-ring style spacer that'll go there. That'll bring up your geometry, so that way your input shaft lines right up with this right there. So let's go ahead and secure this where it needs to go. And then this one here, because these are threaded, These locations are threaded because this one is not. A&M does provide you with a nylon nut to put on the bottom. All right, suggestion I would make is tighten it, but not all the way. There is some slop here, so we just want to make sure that when we line everything up, everything gets aligned properly so we don't have any binding. So I'll just leave this a little loose for right now, and we could come back to this later. So looking at the bottom of this and setting this back up, this here will essentially flip this way. Obviously this is my front, this is my rear. If you look at the way it is, that's not gonna work, right? So what you do is you actually have to disassemble your transfer case. This is a hole on the other end, so we just take our input shaft and we flip it around. So we'll go ahead and get that done. That'll allow us to align it up. Everything lines up with the holes up here. All right, so yeah, let's go ahead and take this apart and get that flipped around. All right, guys, so what we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws. This will just slide right off. Just be careful because you got bearings and all that good stuff. And you know what? I'm actually gonna need to take the drive shaft off. So let's get that, at least one of them. Don't need to take them both off, just one is fine. Just need to get that to slide out. Okay, so we got that off. So this will just slide out right here. Again, be careful. You got bearings and all a bunch of other goodies in there. So all we got to do is take this gear, take it out, just like that. Take it out, flip it around, done. That's all we got to do to get that to work. Put your other part of your casing back on. Make sure it all lines up. Close it up. Good to go. Let's get these screws back in. All right, all the screws back in. I like to just go and just give it a little twist, make sure everything is still jiving right. So good, look good there. Let's go ahead and put the other part of my drive shaft back on here. Let's see, so that will go on. And then we can show you what I'm talking about. So, all right, put this out of the way. All right. Okay, so again, going back here, you got your transfer case flip. We're pretty much gonna be flipping it this way. So now if you look, since we flopped over this input shaft, this will line right up to where it needs to go. Then you have your drive shafts going in the right direction. Wait a minute. That's right. So when you flip this, it's got me a little confused because look, when you flip it this way, it's still the same. It's still the same gear ratio. Obviously the front is the back and the back is now the front. Don't have to worry about your gear ratio. It's still the same because we're still coming in, you know, from the same gearing. None of that changes. But what you got to do is change out your drive shafts because now I got 2 of each on each side. So let's get that done. I don't know about you guys. This right here is gonna get a little personal. Honestly, man, if I didn't have this RC thing going on, this is like one of the best things. I love wrenching on things. I've always been a creative person. I've always liked to work on things. And this RC stuff, it just puts me in a place of zen. I know some people like to drink, some people like to do other recreational activities to get them through their day, but for me, doing this stuff really just allows me to clear my mind and, you know, have something to look forward to, have something to enjoy. But again, getting a little personal there, just felt I'd share it. So it is what it is. So, okay. So before we slide that on, let's go ahead and slide in our drive shafts. Make sure they are phased. For those of you that don't know what phasing is, that's just ensuring this turnbuckle, I don't even know what you call it, but these are in the same position. If you don't, you're gonna have issues with binding and all that kind of awesome goodness. It's gonna make your rig jumpy. So making sure everything lines up. The way I kind of look at it, you got your pin, your pin, your pin, your pin. Making sure that's all lined up, that's phasing. Making sure that's phased correctly. So from there, we got that good. We're just gonna slide that sucker in there. And we will get our screw in there so that way we can lock that in place. This is the fun part, getting all this stuff aligned. All right, where is, there it is. I swear, it's like you just put them down and they just walk away from you. I don't get how that happens. Oh, it's on my driver. All right, so let's go ahead and get this put back in here. All right, so we're good there. Screw that in. Again, we should lock tight. Should lock tight. Do as I say, not as I do, guys. Lock tight. All right, so we've got the transfer case now flipped. And again, this is why I say you should wait to tighten everything down up here until you're all set, because this could use a little bit of movement to get it aligned better. So just kind of loosen these things up. Wrong size. Nope, that was right size. Just loosen these things up a little bit so that we can have some movement. First one in there again. Don't need to tighten it all the way down yet. Make sure everything is lined up first. All right, so we're good there, we're good there. Kind of give it a little turn, make sure we're good. All right, guys, so yeah, it looks like we're good. So let's go ahead and tighten all this down. All right, so we got that all tightened down there. Don't forget to tighten your transfer case bolts here. All right, guys, ready to rock and roll. So transfer case flip is done. Check that out. And I really like too the way that, especially with these portals and then being offset to this side, look at the clearance. You're not hitting the transmission. You're not hitting none of that. When I had straight axles, your drivetrain would actually come through right here, and you can actually see some of the rubbing. You can actually see some of the rubbing there. That would hit, so you wouldn't get full downward travel on this. And now, another reason why I switched over to these from the portals. That travel right there, just because of that added clearance, is so much better. So we got that going. We're looking good there. Let's go ahead and put our skid. Now the only thing I gotta remember is, so I have the anti-wrap bar from A&M. It's all made together, so it all should just jive together right. I put this on my Old Red, but I think there was still some clearances that we had to work with. Let's see. I think we're good. Yeah, I think we're good. being that we're at this point, to get my sliders in here, I am gonna have to connect to this one right here, which also is what my anti-wrap bar connects to. Let's go ahead and get the servo back mounted. Looks like we're in a good space to do that. And then we can, you know, this is obviously my application, the way I have it set up. Everybody's gonna be different. This is just my setup and the way I run my truck. You may not have to deal with this headache, which would be good. So we'll go ahead and get this put back in. Let's see, kind of stuck. Let's get that one put back in. What did I do, guys? I'm missing a screw. They just love to walk away, I swear. It's pretty ridiculous. No, that is a flat top screw. Where's my other flat top screw? I think it was this one. All right, guys. Got a bit of an issue. This is why I say, take your time, don't rush it. Don't rush the process. Because in the excitement of wanting to get all this done, squared up, squared away, we gotta still put the body post back on. And unfortunately, the body post holes are right there. Which unfortunately, our transfer case is in the way. So I'm gonna cut this off. Let me get those body posts on. We'll come right back. All right, guys. So since we now have the body posts where they're supposed to go, everything's buttoned back up. Again, didn't want to bore you guys with having to take all that mess back off. Before we put the skid out on the bottom, let's go ahead and get these sliders mounted up. I just want to make sure, because when we put that skid, it covers a lot of this, if there's nothing that I need to get access to. So let's go ahead and get these sliders mocked up. In the kit that A&M gives you, they give you all the hardware to mount them up. So let's go ahead and start that. They give you the locking washers and all that good stuff for it. So let's go ahead and get these pushed through here. This one is actually, my rear on this side is going to be a little bit different because again, I am running the shackle, I'm sorry, not the shackle reverse, the anti-wrap bar. We're going to have to use the hardware that was included with the anti-wrap bar. So let's go ahead and get that put back in. There's this spacer that goes in right here. And you have a, let's see, this goes, you have a washer. Washer goes in here. Thread that all the way through. We have another washer that goes here. Reverse this around. And that'll go back through this hole. All right, so that's good. All right, so let's go ahead and tighten this one up here. Get my pliers, because this is a little bit harder to get to with a little T-wrench. Just want to make sure that this still articulates. You want to tighten it down, but just make sure we still got articulation on that. Looks like we're good. All right, let's get this front one done. So one thing to keep in mind, guys, when A&M sends you these sliders, it's all raw steel. There's no coating, there's no nothing on it. I'm sure you can paint them if you want to. I don't. I just don't. You see the style of my truck. They're beater trucks. They look like they've been through some stuff. say that nicely. So when these things rust out, they just add to that look that I love so much. All right, sliders are on, check that out. These things are great, I love them. Now, one thing to keep in mind, and even A&M says it on his site and all that stuff, is when you go to put your body back on, excuse me, you have your body post mounts here, you may need to bend these sliders down just a hair to get them the clearance, which looks like I'm gonna have to do myself. So let me just, it doesn't take much, just a little bend, just to give it some extra room. Get your body back on. Let's see. That's on. Go down just a little bit more on this one. That's on. There you go. Look at that. Look at that. These are great. I love them. Nice. All the way through the back of the truck. These are great. These plastic ones, you know, we've had these, you know, these are okay. Plastic obviously, as some people know, slides better over rocks than the metal does. Only issue I have with these was sticking out the way that they did when I'm trying to kind of come over a curvature of the rock. That plastic would kind of spring load the truck and wouldn't allow me to go where I wanted it to. So this one, they hug a lot closer to the body. They're made of metal. So it's better all around. I need to have to bend that a little bit more too. All right, guys, so since we're all good there, let's go ahead and get to mounting the skid plate on the bottom. I got this plugged wire, this wire, I believe this is my servo wire. Let me get that plugged back in, because once that plate's on there, it's kind of hard to have to take it all off. So, not hard, just tedious. So that's plugged in, we're good to go there. Make sure it's connected properly. Okay, yeah, we're good. All right, so your top plate, you kind of see the cutouts here. Obviously, if you're looking at your drive shafts, self-explanatory where this thing's gonna go. He gives you a total of how many screws? We got 8. I never used them all myself. Personally, just never used them all. And I have another zip tie in the way. Gosh dang it. Cut that off too. Not gonna do it on video, but I have to clean up all the wiring again on this truck. That sucks. Especially, you know, especially when you get your wiring just where you want it, you know. Then you have to go and redo the whole thing again. I love wiring management. It's just a pain. All right, so he's got a total of 8. For my own sanity and having to take this off at some point down the road, I just do the four corners. Like I said on Old Red, when I had the same setup on there, it was never an issue. I just did 4. This just saves me from having to take 8 screws off at some point if I ever have to. All right, so get those again, guys, Loctite. Not gonna do it. All right, still got movement. You guys can see it. Still got movement on that anti-wrap bar. We're good here, clearances, we're all good. All right, guys, so that's it. Check that out, all metal belly. All metal belly, and it adds a lot of weight. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the setup. This is, again, the TF2 two-door Mojave sliders from A&M Garage. Our transfer case flip kit with the flat skid. Again, this setup is also able to do overdrive. You have to switch some of this. Instead of this being an input, this actually ends up being an output for your rear drive shaft or for the front drive, something. I forget what it was. You could check it out. A&M Garage has a YouTube video on how to do all that. It gives you, I believe it's like 40% overdrive on the front, which is a lot. Again, for me, too much for what I do for my crawling or trailing, whatever. So for me, it's just way too much. But the availability to be able to do that with your stock transfer case is there. Check him out, A&M Garage. He does have a website. You can see all his products there. Would suggest you reach out to him directly via his Instagram, Facebook, whatever, to order. I know he has a website, but he prefer to have you reach out to him. Usually he can give you like a deal on shipping and whatnot. It's just because of the extra charges of running the website. If you could just do it, again, directly with you, just go that route. Like I said, you're going to save yourself some money and you're going to be doing him a favor. So aside from that, guys, that's pretty much it. I'm going to go ahead and get all the wiring buttoned up, get the body back on, and going to take this thing out for some crawling. All right, guys, we are done. Wiring all nice and cleaned up. Could have swore I had some zip ties. I have some of the regular size zip ties, but I like using the small ones. Could have swore I had some, couldn't find it, but we'll get some zip ties to get that down. But yeah, she is good to go. Looks nice, nice flat belly to get us over those rocks. Everything fits well. Everything still fits good. A little interior. I'll just slide right over, right where it needs to go. Everything is low, right underneath it. Still see the servo winch, don't mind. But yeah, guys, we're good to go. So appreciate you guys for watching. If you have any questions, just leave them down in the comments. Be happy to answer any questions you have. Until next time, guys. Peace.